really the only concern that I had was just about, was there going to be a disconnect with my birth family? As I've mentioned, I got a lot of cousins, all these people, a lot of them still very actively Catholic. And I kind of wondered about that. And to just drop maybe one little anecdote about kind of what sort of made it okay. My Aunt Claire, who was an Italian woman that married a Frenchman, was about as Catholic as anybody in the family. As I would say, she was a Mother Mary Catholic. She was, the rosaries and just very, very Catholic. Just always using religious language in her regular speech. And so she was a wonderful, cheerful, loving woman. Not in any way. I don't mean to imply anything negative about it. It was all a very loving thing, but very, very Catholic, very religious. So I was a little concerned about her. I figured she was kind of the litmus of the whole thing. And so one day I stopped by to visit. Her husband, my Uncle Don, had a surgery. He'd had an eye surgery, and he had to keep his head down on the table for like 6 hours a day. And so it was good to have visitors at that time, because it was boring to sit there with your head down. You had to keep that position. Well, anyway, I stopped to visit, and when I came in, he was in the kitchen by himself. It turned out my aunt had gone out to pick up some groceries, and so he was alone. And so it was really good that I came to visit. I said, oh, that's great. So I sat down and talking with him, and eventually my aunt came in, and she's like, I knew it was you. I was like, how'd you know it was me? She's like, well, I didn't recognize the car, but I looked in the car, and I saw that little hat in there, and I said, oh, that's got to be Paul. And I said, oh, yeah, so you've heard about the Jewish thing. And she's like, yep. And she was so upbeat and so really enthusiastic about it. She's like, oh, I just think it's so great, because I think she kind of knew that I'd been very non-religious, had sort of been disengaged. And the reaction from my parents and from her and from everybody was pretty much like, you know what, the important thing, if this works for you, you have the right relationship with God, and that's what's right for you, then that's okay.